Welcome to my channel Cloud on YouTube. Today we are going to discuss on AWS IAM, which stands for Identity and Access Management. With AWS IAM, you can specify who can access what services and resources in AWS. You can see on the screen, we are going to create users and add those users into groups and assign permission to access the AWS services. User 1 will be part of S3 support group, which has read-only permissions to S3. User 2 will be part of EC2 support group, which has only read-only permissions to EC2 instances, whereas user 3 is part of EC2 admin security group, which will have full access on EC2 instances. Now let's return to the lab and perform the testing. Now logged on to AWS Management Console. On the top left, you can see services, or you can also find IAM under recently visited. But I'm going to do a search in the search bar, IAM. As you can see, this is a IAM service, selecting on it. And on the other side, you can find users, roles, policies, and user groups. So as of this session, we are going to only deal with users and user groups. So clicking on users, I'm going to create a user. The username would be user1. And I'm providing access to the AWS Management Console. And I'm changing the auto-generated password to custom password. I'll be typing a custom password for this user to log into the AWS Management Console. And I'm unchecking this option. I'm clicking on next. As you can see, we can add this particular user to a group. Since we do not have any group, it is asking for us to create a group. So I'm not going to do that in this session. Click on next and create user. So in the same way, I'll be creating another 2 users. So now we have created 3 users, user 1, user 2, and user 3. Now go to user groups and create group, give it a name, S3 support. I'm attaching the user 1 to this group and the permission. So this is where we assign user the permissions. So basically we are attaching the permission policies to the group, and whoever is part of this group will inherit the permissions. So this user should have only read-only permissions. So I'm selecting read-only, click on create. In a similar way, I'm going to create another 2 groups for EC2 support and EC2 admin. And I'm going to add user 2 in this EC2 support and search for the policy. So we have AWS managed policies created already. If you want, you can also create a policy based on the requirement. So I've created 2 groups. Now I'm going to create the third one, EC2 admin. So this user will have entire permissions on EC2. EC2 full access. So selecting the policy and creating the. So as you have seen, we have created 3 users and then the 3 groups. In each group, we have added the users and provided the permissions. Now we'll log into a management console from the user ID and we'll test out the permissions. Now select on the user. We'll test out the user 2 first. Under security credentials, copy the console login and navigate to a private browser. Paste the URL. Enter the user ID, user 3, sorry, user 2, who has only EC2 read-only permissions. Type in the password. change the region to North Virginia since it is our default location. And select services, navigate to compute, click on EC2. So we already have an instance running on this account, and I'm going to open it. As you can see, this is the instance which is already provisioned. Now I'm going to stop this instance and we'll see what happens. Stop. It says failed to stop the instance. Since we have given a user to only to read the instances, so it does not have access to start or stop the instances. So now what we are going to do, we'll be logging out from this account and log in with the user 3 account, which has full permissions on EC2. User 3, password, and login. So this user should be having full admin access on EC2 instances. And you can select EC2 from here. Click on instances. As you can see, the instance is in running state. So now I'm not getting any option. Sorry for that. Instance state and stop instance. This should stop the instance. As you can see, it is in stop-in state. So we'll wait for a few seconds for it to get stopped. As you can see, it is in stop-in state. It takes 20 to 30 seconds. So I'll pause the video and we'll come back. See, now the instance is in stop state. So I'll select the instance again and I'll click on instance state and terminate the instance. So this should shut down the instance first and then terminate the instance. So it should not take much time. So I'll keep on refreshing. And the instance is terminated. Now we go and check one last thing, which is S3. So I'll type S3 from the top and select the S3. This user 3 account do not have any permissions to create bucket or view the bucket or S3 objects. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to create a bucket, which I know that this user do not have permissions to create, but for this testing purpose, I'll try to, as you can see, we are getting an error. Says S3 create bucket permission is required to create a bucket. So this is how you manage users, groups, and permissions in your AWS account. And this will help you in restricting access to the users who do not require. So that's all for this session. Thanks for joining. Please like and subscribe my channel, Cloud on YouTube. And thanks for supporting.